They found the python, tagged it, released it. It was supposed to lead them to the others. Instead, it led them to a disaster. Something shifted in the Everglades. The tracked snakes began to behave strangely. Their movements became erratic, unpredictable. This wasn't control. This was a warning. Florida tried to turn a predator against its own kind. They believed they understood the wild. They were wrong. We'll uncover the fatal flaw in their plan and reveal how a simple assumption nearly destroyed an ecosystem. Florida has a python problem, a massive one. Burmese pythons, an invasive species, are devastating the Everglades. They eat everything: deer, alligators, even panthers. Traditional hunting wasn't enough. The snakes were too elusive. So, a new strategy emerged: Judas snakes. The idea was simple: capture a male python, implant a GPS tracker, release it. This Judas would then lead researchers to breeding females. It was a brilliant concept, elegant, non-lethal, until the pythons were found. But it rested on one critical assumption: that these apex predators would behave predictably, that they would remain simple tools. They assumed the pythons would follow a script. They assumed wrong. At first, the program was hailed as a triumph. Researchers watched their screens. The dots moved. They converged. Judas snakes led them directly to hidden nests, to congregations of females. Teams moved in. Pythons were removed. The numbers looked good. This was the assumption working. But then the data started to whisper. One male, M12, showed unusual movement, not seeking females, but patrolling a perimeter, not a territory, a boundary. He was marking something, defending something. This was not in the playbook. Another python, F07, a female, exhibited a different anomaly. Tracked to a den, she was observed, waiting for other females. Then she would attack. The data didn't match the story. The pythons were not just leading them to others, they were leading them to conflict. Researchers initially dismissed it, an outlier, a fluke. But the pattern grew. More Judas snakes, more erratic movements, more unexpected aggression. One incident shocked the team. A tracked male, M23, was found dead, killed by another python. His tracker, still active, showed a violent struggle, a territorial dispute of unprecedented ferocity. This is where the assumption breaks. The pythons were not passive tools. They were learning, adapting. The constant presence of a tracked snake, a known outsider, was not a neutral signal. It was a disruption, a challenge. They had introduced a constant mobile irritant into a delicate social structure, and the pythons responded not by fleeing, but by fighting. Incidents began to escalate, not just among the pythons themselves. Local wildlife started to show signs of extreme stress. Their populations, already under pressure, now faced an even more unpredictable threat. And this is the part they didn't anticipate. The tracked pythons, now constantly engaged in territorial battles, were becoming more aggressive, more desperate. Their hunting patterns changed. They became bolder, more reckless. One tracked female, F19, was found near a residential area, far closer than any python had been observed before. She was emaciated, injured, and highly agitated. She had been driven out of her usual hunting grounds by the constant territorial pressure from other pythons, triggered by the very trackers meant to control them. The mistake was concrete. They had underestimated the adaptive capacity of an apex predator. They believed they were using the python's instincts against them. Instead, they had sharpened those instincts. They had created a more formidable, more unpredictable enemy. The Everglades was becoming a war zone, and the pythons, once a problem, were now a weapon forged by human hands and turned against the very ecosystem it was meant to protect. The initial reports of unusual behavior were dismissed as anomalies. But the pattern interrupts became undeniable. Researchers noticed subtle changes in the untracked python population: more agitated, more territorial. The conflict initiated by the Judas snakes was rippling through the entire python community. One female, F32, a large breeding python, was found with severe injuries from another python. Her tracker showed a prolonged, brutal struggle, a fight for dominance triggered by the proximity of a tracked male. The assumption that pythons were solitary was crumbling. They were not just solitary hunters, they were highly territorial, and the trackers were turning their territories into battlegrounds. The radio signals, meant to be benign, were perceived as a constant invasion. Every tracked python became a walking declaration of war. This wasn't just about finding nests. This was about understanding a species actively being reshaped by human intervention. The impact wasn't confined to the pythons. Native species, already struggling, now faced a new, more aggressive threat. Small mammals, birds, even juvenile alligators were hunted with a ferocity rarely seen before. The pythons, driven by constant territorial stress, were becoming more desperate, more efficient killers. This is the part they didn't anticipate. The trackers, meant to reduce the python population, were inadvertently making the remaining pythons more dangerous. One tracked male, M45, began exhibiting a new, disturbing behavior. He would deliberately seek out areas with high concentrations of native wildlife, not just for food, but to establish dominance, to assert his presence in a landscape now defined by constant challenge. His movements were precise, calculated. He was clearing out competition, not just for food, but for territory. The most disturbing realization came when researchers analyzed genetic data. They had assumed the pythons were a static threat, a fixed problem, but the constant stress, the perpetual territorial warfare, was driving a rapid, unforeseen evolution. Pythons from areas with high tracker density showed increased aggression markers, faster growth rates, and a disturbing resilience to traditional capture methods. This was not just behavioral adaptation, this was biological. The program, designed to control, had inadvertently accelerated the python's ability to dominate the Everglades. They had created a super predator, more cunning, more violent, more entrenched. Every pattern interrupt, every unexpected behavior, every escalation pointed to the same terrifying truth. They had not just failed to control the pythons, they had made them stronger. The program was halted, the trackers were removed. But the damage was done. The Everglades ecosystem, already fragile, had been subjected to an unprecedented social experiment. The pythons, once solitary hunters, had been forced into a state of perpetual conflict. Their territorial instincts, amplified by the constant, unseen challenge of the trackers, had been irrevocably altered. They were not simply removed. They were rewired. What was once a predictable, albeit dangerous, invasive species became something far worse. Their aggression was no longer solely driven by hunger. It was now fueled by a learned, ingrained territoriality, a constant state of high alert. Local wildlife, which had adapted to the python's original hunting patterns, now faced an unpredictable, hyper-aggressive predator. The assumption that backfired was simple: that an animal's core instincts could be manipulated without consequence. They believed they could introduce a variable, observe a desired outcome, and then remove the variable, returning the system to its original state. But living systems don't work that way. They adapt, they learn, they evolve, and sometimes that evolution is not in our favor. The pythons had been weaponized, not against each other, but against the very ecosystem Florida sought to protect. Their behavior had been reshaped, their aggression amplified, their unpredictability cemented. And the long-term consequences? They are still being measured. The Everglades, a unique and vital ecosystem, is now home to a python population that is not only larger, but fundamentally different. More aggressive, more territorial, a direct result of human intervention based on a flawed understanding of the wild. The balance was broken, and it may never fully recover. This wasn't the first time humanity had misjudged the wild. From cane toads in Australia to wild boars in the Americas, the pattern is tragically consistent. A problem arises. A seemingly elegant technological solution is proposed, and a fundamental misunderstanding of ecological complexity leads to unforeseen, often catastrophic, consequences. In the case of the pythons, the flaw wasn't in the technology itself. The trackers worked, the data was collected, the failure was in the interpretation of that data, and the hubris of believing that a complex, ancient predator could be reduced to a simple, programmable entity. They saw a problem to be solved, not a living system to be understood. This experiment serves as a stark reminder. Every intervention, no matter how well-intentioned, carries a risk. Every attempt to control nature without truly comprehending its intricate web of interactions can unravel in ways we cannot predict. The Everglades pythons became a living testament to this truth. They were not just an invasive species, they became a mirror reflecting our own scientific overconfidence. The Everglades still faces the python threat, but now it faces a different kind of threat. A threat born not of nature, but of human intervention, of a flawed assumption. They tried to control the wild, they only made it wilder, and the consequences are still unfolding.